Hey folks, and welcome back to another P3D video. Today we're not doing the usual kind of video once again. We're doing a settings video, which has been requested by quite a few people in the channel, the comments. And I've been asked since, I don't know, January, well, probably February this year, and I've still not gotten around to doing it, so apologies for not doing it. But I just kind of wanted to wait for more people before I went ahead and done it. That's my phone going off. I'm going to pop that on mute so it doesn't interrupt me anymore. As you can see, we've got all my basic settings currently in the sim. There's nothing changed. I've not changed anything for this video to make it look different. This is just what I will deal with on a day-to-day basis. As you can see as well, we're in the Caribbean Airlines 737-800, which will be for the full flight video that comes out. I don't know whether I'll do this before or after. As an upload this full flight video before the settings video or not, but obviously we'll find that out when watching this video if I have or haven't. Anyway, I want to get cracking and get into my settings, so without further ado, here is my just P3D settings basically. So here we are, we're in the settings menu, and really a lot of people are only wanting to see this here, these three here. These are just the most important ones, so I'll get to them in 2 seconds. I just want to make a quick disclaimer that please don't just use these settings, don't just fling them into your simulator, because I know when I started out using P3D, even X-Plane as well, I would just sit and fling in, you know, settings of other YouTubers and that, not really taking into account the spec of my PC. You can see my specs for my PC down below in the description, but I mean, my PC isn't the best PC out there, but I have optimized everything to suit my specs on my PC. So yeah, just please bear in mind that this might not work for you, and it's just really a trial and error. This is taking me a very long time to get to where I want to be with my settings. Getting to where you want to be with your settings takes quite a while. It's not just something you can do within about 20 minutes. You need to find what works with you, and sometimes things don't work and sometimes things break because you've got too high settings. It just all depends. Anyway, let's carry on down here. So this is just all standard. I'm sure you'll have this all set. This is all pretty basic for what you want, sound and everything. Traffic, I have this on 1% because I run AIG Manager, so that matches and corresponds with my AI companion, which I'll drag across right now. So obviously there's no aircraft here just now, but in my settings, I think it is, I've got it somewhere. I can't remember where it is, but there's a setting I've got that says there's only, you know, a certain amount of percentage of aircraft that are allowed, and that corresponds with in my P3D settings. Realism wise, that's all, you can set that yourself. Add-ons in your library, that's not really important, that's just kind of, well, your add-ons in your scenery library. Display, here we go. So the main one everyone wants to see. So I'm running an NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1070 on my computer. My resolution is set to my monitor resolution. I wouldn't change this. I would just leave it to, well, set it to the max that you can select it. So that's the max I can set it, because that's what my monitor is, 1920 by 1080. These settings here, I have them unticked. It doesn't really matter. It's to have them the way you want to have them. Image and texture quality. So basically your FXA, it basically says if you hold over on all the settings, it tells you what they all do. But I'm just going to kind of briefly explain them all in a nutshell. FXAA, it apparently makes it smoother. It doesn't, it makes it blurrier. So if you have a blurry sim and you wonder why, turn this off and it should make it a bit more clearer, hopefully. AA, so anti-alias. Basically this sharpens edges on objects, but however the higher it is, the more your performance decreases. I know flight simmers, you know, famous ones that have got, you know, big ones in the community that have theirs set on like 8 MSA or 4 MSA. I have mine set to 4 SSA. It's just really down to how you want to have your sim looking. And the thing as well is people have theirs down here because they've optimized everything else, and you know, they're an NVIDIA control panel, or they've optimized their monitor, you know, refresh rates, blah blah blah. I mean, refresh rates don't really have an impact on this, but what I mean is they've optimized other things for certain settings to make it look better. I've not. I've just went for the default version. I've not done anything fancy to mine. So I would just have with this and whatever works for your PC. Start off at 2 and work your way up to see, you know, if I put this on 2, my frame rate will shoot right up, I can guarantee you. But the higher I select this, as in like, you know, the higher the AA that I choose, the more my frame rate will decrease and performance will decrease. So really it is just up to you what you want to have your AA on. My texture filtering, I normally have this on 16, I don't know why this is on 8. But basically what the texture filtering does is it makes, once again, everything smoother. It's like the wee pixels that make up the aircraft and the objects and blah blah blah. Basically I think it's the smaller they are, so it's less pixely. I think that's what it is. I'm not entirely sure, don't quote me on that, but I believe that's what it is. So the higher it is, the better it will make your sim look. Once again, it's like anything, the higher the settings, the better your sim will look. But obviously you'll have less performance, so it's really what you want. If you want less performance for better settings, or better not like high-end settings, but with better performance. Sometimes I'll have this on 8 SSAA and this on 8. If I'm running 4, I normally have this on 16, but I'm just, I'll pop up to 16 just now. Texture resolution, I have this on ultra. I know people that have it on high, even medium. Really, it's just up to you. The texture resolution is basically how much detail you've got in your textures. Pretty self-explanatory. You know, the lower it is, the more, I find the lower it is, the blurrier your textures you get, but once again, the higher it is, the more it decreases performance, so it's really up to you what you want. Dynamic texture streaming, this basically decreases VRAM usage, but it optimizes the texture size, so once again, like, you know, the pixels that make up everything, it will optimize them to ensure that you have better VRAM usage. If you have it turned off, it increases performance, but with the disadvantage of there being more VRAM usage. So really it's up to you. Do you want to increase your decrease your VRAM usage, or would you, for better, for better performance, but would you rather have it turned off? And to increase performance, or sorry, well, if you have it turned off, or sorry, on, I don't really know, to be honest, but if you hold it over, it explains it. I'm just kind of blabbing here. Yeah, so disable to increase performance at the cost of more VRAM usage. I don't really know how that works, but yeah, basically that's what it does. So it's up to you if you want to have this on or off. I have it on, but whatever works with you. VSync, this is basically just your monitor refresh rate. So what you find is some people have it on, off. I used to have triple buffering on. I don't know why I've got it off. I mean, it doesn't make a difference to me. Really, once again, it's up to you. If you want to have it on. I know that if you have like a black screen flickering in your P3D when you're flying, triple buffering normally stops that. But if you have it turned off, then that's what causes the black screen. I've not had a black flickering screen since P3D version 4.5, so I think it must not be in this anymore. I say that, and then the next play I do, I'll get it. But once again, this is just personal preference. Target frame rate. Just if someone tells you, there's one person that comes to mind who I know does this and tells people this, do not set this to 60 frames per second or set this to 30 frames per second. Do not cap your frames, okay? Because if you cap them, I find that you're not going to get the best performance, because your PC's not always going to be sitting on 30 frames. It's not always going to be sitting on 60 plus frames per second, but if your PC's able to give you more than 60 plus FPS per second, I mean, go for it, let it do it. So I just have mine on unlimited. Just leave it, just put it on unlimited, and that's it. Unless you know what you're doing when capping your frame rate, do not touch it. I would highly recommend not touching it. I've always had these two off. I don't really know what these do, but I know that this basically makes your panels, so your screens, your displays, blurry. If you turn it off, it makes it sharper. So if you've got like a blurry screen in P3D version 5 and you don't know why, turn this off. Just turn it off and you'll see your screens, the quality and the resolution go extremely sharp. I'll fling up a before and after picture. So the before picture will be with mid-mat VC panels on, and then the after picture will be with it off, and then you can see right now on the screen where if you want to have it on or off, but I would recommend having it turned off, just personally. Heading on to the world section, this is going to take a while to get through I reckon, but I'll get through it as fast as I can. The level detail radius, this basically makes things further away clear. So really if you want to have things very far away in the distance extremely clear, put it on a, you know, I think it's max, yeah it's max. If you want to not have it, you know, detailed at all, just do low. I have mine on high though, so really what works for you. You just need to keep on testing these settings. So if you want to have, you know, good settings or whatnot, I would recommend starting with everything at low and then working your way up to, you know, the higher settings to see what your performance looks like. Tessellation factor, this basically, so I believe this basically gives you more detail in the terrain. So I found two pictures on the Lockheed Martin forums, which I'll fling up on the screen right now, and what you can see is on the left photo, I believe, well, you can see the difference and you can see the detail and the tessellation factor. So really, it's if you want to have more detail in your like terrain and whatnot, then you basically turn it up. If you don't, then just turn it down. In the photos, you can't really see much of a difference in the photos, I think, but I just have it on high anyway because I want my sim to look as best as possible, and I know that my PC can handle it being on high. Mesh resolution, basically that means the terrain mesh is at a higher level, so you see smaller details in terrain. So maybe, I don't know, something that's, if you have Orbix or something, and there's, I don't know, on this, like, I believe it's photoreal scenery that Orbix use. I don't know, like maybe a field. If you have it on a lower setting mesh resolution, you won't see some like smaller details in the field. Whereas if you have it on a higher setting, you will see you know, more detail in the field. Text resolution is pretty self-explanatory. Texture resolution is basically your ground textures. So how you know, clear you want it to be. So if you have it fully on 7, you'll see it very clearly. If you have it on 30 like me, then you'll still see it clear, but not as clear as 7, if that makes sense. The high resolution terrain textures, obviously I've got this on. You just, as it says, it improves overall ground texture quality, so I would recommend having this on. But obviously if your PC can't handle it, don't put it on. Special effects details, so it's pretty self-explanatory again. So you've got fireworks and everything like that. Basically the detail makes it look clearer in the distance. So however far away it is, it basically lets you see it from further away. I have them on medium. You can have them on low if you want, or you can have them on high. But I just stick them in the middle because why not? Because my PC can't handle it. Scenery objects, so scenery complexity. I had to actually check this because I completely misunderstood what this was, but basically what it is it affects the density of non-autogen buildings and scenery objects like monuments, custom buildings and cities and airports, or any object that requires non-generic models or non-generic textures. That is basically what I grabbed off the Lockheed Martin forums. So yeah, the higher you have it, the less performance you'll have. The lower you have it, the more performance you'll have. I've got mine basically slap bang in the middle, but once again, up to you how you want to have it. I know that if you have UK 2000 Heathrow, I believe it is, if you have this on normal, the ground, like the taxiway markings, don't appear when you're like pulling into gates and stuff. But if you have it on dense or very dense, it does appear. I don't know why it does that, but that's just a thing for anyone who's wondering why they don't have their taxiway lines at gates at UK 2000 Heathrow. I don't know if it's the same with other UK 2000 products. I don't think it's the same at Manchester because I've never had it in Manchester. But yeah, that's just a wee thing for you in case you didn't realise. Autogen and senior jaw distance basically is the jaw distance. So the lower you have it, the thing, you know, things that are further away you won't see, whereas the higher you have it, the more things you see further away. So I might put mine on high. I'll just change it to high just now, because why not? I want to. Autogen vegetation density basically means more trees, bushes, blah blah blah. So I would recommend having this down low. This has been notorious throughout P3D since the beginning for causing low frames, so I just have mine on low because at the end of the day I'm not really going to be looking at trees and bushes and that while I'm coming into land at, you know, I don't know, Dubrovnik or something like that, when there's, you know, there's lots of forest around me. It doesn't really bother me. I'm focusing on landing the plane, not looking at anything else. Autogen building density is basically just how many buildings you want. So really these two go hand in hand kind of with each other. So if you want to see more buildings, but you want to see them further away as well, just kind of work out these two together. Dynamic 3D Auto-Gen Vegetation, turn that off because that will just decrease your frame rate. It just decreases your frame rate. I have Enhanced Atmospherics off. As you know, I used to use it, but I don't use it anymore, just because I wanted to have more control over the way my sim looked with envy shade and everything. So really, up to you if you want to have True Sky on or off. Basically makes the clouds look more real, but at the moment they still look very, you know, from lower levels they look great, like when you're flying through them, but at higher levels they look disgusting. So, and the nighttime textures are horrible as well. So, and morning textures. So it's up to you whether you want to have it on or not. Up to you. Windshield effects, basically is the effects you get the windshield, so like sun shining through your like windshield when you're flying. Turbulence and thermal effects, basically affects like your aircraft flying, so you'll see like your aircraft moving when you're hitting through turbulence and wind and stuff. Volumetric fog basically gives you smoother like fog patterns, if that makes sense. So on a foggy day when like your weather engine's injecting fog into your simulator, you'll see smoother like fog patterns, whereas if you've got it turned off, you won't. Cloud draw distance, I just have this on low. Cloud coverage density, I have this on medium because I want to have more clouds, but I don't want to have them very far away. There's no point in that, I don't think, because I mean really, unless you're a streamer, you probably don't really look out the window, whereas I know that when I'm flying, maybe doing like a 3 hour, 4 hour flight, even long hauls, I don't look out the window. I don't sit there for the 10-hour flight looking out the window. I just don't. I've got other things to do, you know. I normally do long haul flights and go off and do something or sleep. So yeah, I just have it on low at 60 miles, sorry, because there's no point. Water details, so bathymetry basically means like the elevation details, so water that's meant to be higher than lower, whatnot, just depending on the elevation of the earth, and that basically decides that. Water detail, I have it on low because I don't think, unless you're flying to an airport like Hong Kong, I don't think it's important to have it on because you're not really going to be looking at rivers and water when you're flying. You're going to be focusing, it's the same that goes with trees and stuff. You're not going to be focusing on that, you're going to be focusing on flying in the plane, which that's personally my take on it. So it's just really what you want to do at the end of the day. What if you want to look at, you know, trees and water while you're flying and landing, then up to you. But while you're at 30,000 feet as well, you're not really going to see the water detail. It's going to be not good quality anyway, so yeah, I wouldn't have it turned on. Well, I would have it turned on, but not at a higher level. Reflections, just up to you what you want to have reflecting in your water. I have my aircraft and clouds reflecting because I think it looks nice like that. Lighting, I have HDR enabled, just because I think if you have it turned off, it just makes everything look very dull and not nice, whereas if you have it on like this, it just looks a wee bit more brighter and just a wee bit more happier. Auto exposure, I don't have that turned on because like you go from being in the cockpit to looking outside, and then it'll go really bright, and then it'll turn the brightness down. So it just kind of, it gives me OCD and it infuriates me. Brightness, I have it 1.25, bloom 0.35, and saturation 1. Really up to you what you want to have it on. If you're using like PTA or something or whatever, just try and, you know, work out these. You need to work hand in hand with your shader settings. So for example, these work hand in hand with my envy shade settings. Dynamic reflections basically means the way the aircraft looks. So if you've got like a really reflective aircraft at night time, then it's probably because you've got this off, or you're probably shouldn't, because a lot of aircraft have PBR nowadays. But yeah, I have this on medium. It's really just up to you how you want to have it. Dynamic lighting as well, airports, so you'll have your dynamic airports, the payware airports that have dynamic lighting, or even freeware airports that have dynamic lighting. This will make sure they look better. Landing lights illuminate ground, that's very self-explanatory. If you don't want your landing lights illuminating the ground, I don't know why you'd be flying, but you would need to have them on because they basically let you see when you're landing at an airport at night. Display lens flare, this is a setting in Envy Text, I believe it is. So I don't have it on because I have it on an Envy Text, and there's no need for me to have this on. Shadow quality, once again, I don't find this important to have on, just because like I just don't find it important to have high, because there's just, I'm not going to be focusing on shadows. I find flight simulation is all about flying. It's not about it looking perfect, because I know people like to get it looking crisp and clean and then taking screenshots, but then they've got like 10 FPS, so what's the point? Shadow draw distance as well, I just have it on medium because there's no point in having it really high, I just think. This is what I have all my shadows on. yeah, just work out what works best for you. I think if you have them all on it, because it has to create more shadows, it's going to reduce performance. So just have it on what you want. Sometimes things are unnecessary to have. It's just up to you. You know, have it on whatever you want. And that's basically all my settings. So I'm also actually going to show you as well my NV text and NV shade settings, and then that'll be the end of the video. So I'll see you in 2 seconds. So welcome back. Here is NVIDIA, or I don't even know how you pronounce it, but this is NV text and NV shade. NV text, I'll show you what I have. Where is it? Here we go. This is all I have installed, the clouds on NVText. So I have none of this installed because I have custom sky textures installed. So yeah, just actually, to be fair, I should probably have some of these on just because of like water and whatnot. But yeah, I just have the clouds on because I have custom sky textures installed, which are the Pascal sky textures. I can't remember what set it is I use. I don't know if it's the Real Atmospherics or the Natural Sky project, but I think his sky textures are stunning, so I would highly recommend using them. Unless you use Rex and you prefer Rex, then do that. As you can see, I have Rex here, but I've not used Rex in ages because it's still not compatible with 5.1, and it's still given after 7 hours the sim basically becomes unresponsive because of Rex. So I use the freeware weather engine, FSX weather. I mean, does nothing apart from just inject weather, but that's all I need really, just weather injected, because my sky textures and clouds make up for it looking not as good. I might change my cloud textures though, just because I'm not very happy with them at the moment. I just don't think they look as nice as they could be, but I think I might change them in the future. NV shade, yeah, this is what my NV shade looks like. So you can copy it if you want, but I'll tell you something. When I got this, I was copying the settings and like other flight simmers, and I was not getting the look I wanted like they had. So just make sure you just take your time with this. I know you don't want to, because I didn't at the time, I know you don't want to, because with NV shade you need to put a setting in, load it in, and then go into your simulator to see how it looks, and exit out, and then reload and etc. I know that process seems very very annoying, but trust me, it's worth it once you get your simulator looking the way you want it to. So yeah, that's what my settings look like. What I'll do is on my Discord server, I'll put up some screenshots of each of these settings, and you can go over there and have a look, just in case you don't if you just want to just maybe look at photos rather than listen to me explain everything. I'm not going to explain all these. You can kind of work out what they are just kind of from looking at them. So yeah, just take into account that this probably won't work and make it, my simulator won't look exactly like yours. So just really up to you how you want to do it. Just basically be careful with what you're doing and just take your time, because it's not something you can do instantaneously. Well, anyway folks, that is the video finished for today. If you did enjoy this settings video, please make sure to leave a like, comment, and even possibly consider subscribing. I'm now off to do this flight. I'm not going to tell you where we're flying to in case I upload the settings video before this full flight video. However, I've got a feeling I probably will upload this full flight video before the settings video, so you'll probably know already. But I'm going to go and do this right now. It's a long flight, but it's one that was requested in the channel, and if you do have any flight requests, please make sure to leave them in the Discord dedicated flight request server, or even just pop them in the comments and I'll get around to having a look at and doing them. And make sure you have a look at the scenery list I've put in my Discord, because I obviously can't fly to airports without good default scenery. So yeah, apart from that, I hope you have a great day folks, and yeah, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next P3D video.